While the 2022-2023 football season officially ends today on Super Bowl Sunday, for many sports betting fans, college hoops in February and March is one of the most exciting times in sports. Whether you love college hoops or just want to pad your bankroll heading into March Madness, we have the perfect special. Starting today, get the rest of February with any Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $149 each. So to finish off February for as little as $9 per day, head over to your favorite Wager Talk and or Sports Memo handicappers page and grab this limited time offer. This offer includes not only college basketball, but also any NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, golf, and NASCAR that your favorite Wager Talk and or Sports Memo expert handicaps. No coupon is needed. The earlier you sign up, the more days you get.
Happy Thursday, guys. Welcome to Wager Talk TV. This is Puck Time. Andrew is away today. The guy wins a 5% play last night and decides to celebrate by taking the next couple days off to fly to Montreal to watch the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know who flies to Montreal to watch the Montreal Canadiens, but apparently Andrew does. So it is just myself and Brian Leonard on today in his regular spot. We are going to cover 4 games on today's show: Minnesota, Columbus, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, Los Angeles, New Jersey, and we'll finish it off with the Vegas Golden Knights hosting the aforementioned Calgary Flames. Andrew's 5% winner for last night. So congratulations to him. Bri, obviously welcome into your regular spot on Thursdays. I'm going to say this, man. I wasn't happy with NHL last night, an 0-2 night. I haven't had a bad NHL night in a while. It's been a good run. Dallas Stars, I don't know what happened to them. Up 3-0, 3-0. I just finished stoppage time, so I'm using the word nil. But up 3-0 in that game, and they completely fall apart. The Kane Domi line completely ran over the Robertson line. Robertson, his line, I think he was -2. They allowed all 3 goals against. I wasn't happy with that result, but we're right back on the horse, and we'll get going today, man. How's your week been going?
Week's been fine, although I was on the opposite side of that Arizona game. I had them +1.5, up 3-1, was looking pretty good. But I knew when I looked at the yesterday's results that it was a strange day in hockey because you had lost. And you have been so automatic in hockey for the last, I don't want to jinx you, the last 2 weeks or so, that I said, I lost, but something was funky yesterday because even Carmine lost.
Yeah, it was. Let's hope it was an anomaly. We'll get right back on that horse, but it's one of those things. You're never. You can never put a check mark beside a play or an X beside a play, and the play with Edmonton, the 5% play with Edmonton was a perfect example of that. A team that looked lifeless and then found 3 goals in the third period in the final 10 or 12 minutes of that game to cover the puck line. I had an X beside that one and turned it into a check mark. So Dallas Stars, you're in my bad books amongst some other teams. But I want to mention off the top of the show, both at Sports Memo and at Wager Talk, some NHL 5% plays up. Don Buster has a 5% play up at Sports Memo. He's our regular Tuesday guest, so you can find his play over there. And then, Bri, you got one for tonight up. So best of luck to you. What is the run before we get into the first game? It is absolutely insane. Your lifetime mark with 5% NHL plays.
Yeah, 35-16, and I did lose the last one. So this is a great time to buy. And you mentioned Buster on there. For anybody who buys my play, give me a call. I'll give you Busters for free. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that to Buster. Wouldn't do that to Buster.
Yeah, we could do that to Buster. Absolutely. It's funny if he's watching the show, and he better be watching because he's north of the border. So his internet, he's not on that El Chapo internet in Mexico. He's got Canadian Wi-Fi up here, so he better be watching the show and in our live chat. But we need Ralph Michaels on to tell us what the Brian Leonard record is for 5% plays off of a 5% loss. It's got to be phenomenal when you go 36-15 or whatever that number is. But with that said, guys, huge slate of NHL games tonight. So I'm looking forward to discussing them, and let's get right to it. We're going to look at the Minnesota-Columbus game right off the bat, and the odds on this one, if we can get them up on the screen. Minnesota, minus 185 on the road. Columbus, plus 155 at home. The total is at 6, shaded to the under, and I can see it being shaded to the under because Minnesota has been such a good under betting team this season. I got a couple points here. You look at this, and I don't want to say Columbus is going to spring the upset here, but Korpisalo is the only goalie confirmed thus far. It's likely going to be Fleury. I don't know if Fleury has lost his starter's role. It's been Gustafsson the last 3 starts. Fleury's gone 3-7 his last 10 games. His last 10 starts for Minnesota. That's worrisome for a team that is pushing to make the playoffs, a team that needs wins. Whether he's lost his starter's role, we'll find out from Brian shortly. But here's a stat on Korpisalo. He's looked good of late, and maybe this is him trying to get traded because we know some goalies are going to be in the market. But versus the Central this year, his best average and record is against the Central Division this year. He's 4-1 with a 1.79 goals against average and a 949 save percentage. And the one loss was allowing 5 goals to the Colorado Avalanche. So that 179 goals against average is even better when you think about the one loss being a 5-goal defeat by them. I still think Minnesota is the play here. I can't lay the 185 here, so I have to lean to the under and just look at this as being another one of those low-scoring games where it's decided late. So give me the under 6 here in this one. I'm going with the fact that Minnie's been a great under team, and Korpisalo is playing well and at home. So the under 6 is my play here. Brian, where are you looking at in this one?
I can't fault the under. This Minnesota team's just not scoring. Even in victories, they're only scoring 2 or 3. If you go back to the last month in 5-on-5 action, goals against per 60, we're seeing the Jackets at minus 0.55, but Minnesota's even worse at minus 1.15. So they're like a 0.6 goal worse on 5-on-5 action over the last month. That's not a good sign for a team as a solid road favorite here. I'm not a Columbus fan, have not been a Columbus fan, but that would be the only way I would look at this one. They seem to be playing with slightly better confidence lately, playing, well, if you got a bad team and they're playing a little bit better, I mean, it doesn't mean they're a good team. But Minnesota right now, they have won the last 3, but it hasn't been from an offensive standpoint. So the way I can get to what I want here with the under and probably the Columbus side is just play the Minnesota team total under. I think that's the way to go in this one. We both end up with the same situation, but I think that's the way to go here. And to me, there's a few games on this card that have some live dogs. Don't trust Columbus overall, but the Minnesota team total under, I think, is a better way to go.
Yeah, I like that play, and I agree with you. I think in the big slate of games tonight, there are a few good dog possibilities, whether they're big prices or in those plus 110 ranges. There are some dogs on tonight's card, so we'll see how that goes. But I agree with you. It is tough to take for any of these teams their team total over, especially if you like the under, but just on how they've been playing. And Columbus hasn't tanked their season. They're still going out there and giving it a good effort. So should be a good one as far as a competitive game. I don't see one team blowing out the other, and hopefully a low-scoring game. We'll see how Fleury looks in goal tonight. Again, he's struggled 3-7 his last 10 games. Brian, I'm going to go to you first on the next one. We're going to look at the Edmonton Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. It looks like it's going to be Jari and Skinner in goal for this one. This is 110 split across the board. Both teams at minus 110 a pick 'em. The total here is 7 over. Brian, I'm going to go to you on this one. I'm not going to pick a side. I'll come back to whether I like the over or under in this, but the Edmonton Oilers are much like the Calgary Flames that I talked about yesterday, that they are betting on them is like being in that toxic relationship. Now, the Calgary Flames last night, at one point, Andrew couldn't have been happy when the Arizona Coyotes were up 3-1 in that game. I was probably thinking about that toxic girlfriend line, or toxic relationship line, not girlfriend, but relationship. Give me your thoughts on this one. Can you make a case for betting either team?
I actually wrote something very similar to that yesterday on why I was taking Arizona, which is, I said there's two teams in the league, Edmonton and Calgary, who have such a wide disparity on their results. You find a lot of teams, when Boston loses, they don't lose by much. You got certain teams that do very well in that regard. But Edmonton can win a game 8-0, and they can lose another game 6-2. Same with Calgary. So it's tough trusting those teams as big favorites. Now, if you like them as an underdog, that's good because you want variance when you have an underdog. But with the favorite, I just can't trust them. That said, this Pittsburgh team, I know they got Jerry back last game, but they're not playing well at all right now. Edmonton, they played one good period over the last 3 or 4 games, so they're not playing well either. But Edmonton's been very streaky all season long, very similar to what I was saying earlier. If I had to play this game, and I don't, this won't be on my card, I'd lean to the Edmonton side just because I don't believe in Pittsburgh. You had an excellent bet that you've been mentioning that you didn't take. You took Pittsburgh not to make the playoffs. I think that's going to be a winner for you. So I prefer the Edmonton side. And, of course, anytime you get Edmonton and Pittsburgh together, you would think it'd be a high-scoring game. And the total's telling you that. I took a chance on an over 7 last week and ended up pushing. I got the 7 in overtime. But it's tough to get up over 7. But that would really be the only way I would look in this one. Edmonton slightly, Pittsburgh or the over slightly. But this won't be on my card.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's just no way to bet the under in this game, even if it happens. It's like I'm looking at while you were talking, some of the live chat, and some of the comments are just like it's almost like that chant in your head: goals, 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 and it just seems like this is going to be a game with goals. And you mentioned Jari coming back. He played a phenomenal game, much like he did before he was injured. Pittsburgh was 16-6-5 with Jari in goal before he was injured, and then they had a losing record with him out of the lineup. He returns, and they lose that game to the Islanders. He played well. They still allowed, I think, 5 goals in that game, and it could have been even worse had he not stood on his head. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They've allowed 4+ goals in each of those losses. It is just tough to take an under right now with this Pittsburgh team. And then you look at the Oilers, they hit the road and they have gone over the total in 12 of their last 15 games. They're 12-3 to the over the last 15 on the road. This team doesn't play defense. And even if they tried to, Skinner and Jack Campbell haven't been Vezina Trophy candidates. So with that said, I obviously like the over in this game. Guys, before I get to the third game on the card, I just want to mention to someone, if he's in the chat, the 6 and 60, we had 3 prize winners. 2 of them, I've got their info. Dane Stanton, probably related to Giancarlo Stanton. If you're on Twitter, send a message over to the Puck Time WT Twitter account, and I will get your address to send you your prize. If you don't have a Twitter account, send a message to customer service, and they will get it to me. All right. LA Kings, New Jersey Devils. Let's look at the numbers on this one. You've got New Jersey minus 145, LA plus 125. The total here is 6.5, shaded to the under. Brian, I'm going to look at this quickly. It should be Vanacek and Copley. I like to take teams off a bad loss, and obviously New Jersey is coming off of a bad loss, losing at home to the Montreal Canadiens. Completely unexpected loss there. But they're only, as well as they've played all season, and they've been a streaky team, but they put together a great run. They're only 16-13 at home this season. I thought they'd be a lot better than that until I looked up the record. And the Kings on the road, 15-15. you always want to look at the road, home and road splits to see whether you want to back a team, especially on the road. This is a tough one. I think New Jersey is the right play here at minus 145. I just don't feel good about playing New Jersey at minus 145 because the LA Kings have shown that they can go on the road and win games. If you win 15 games on the road, or you're batting 500, you're always in a game. I'm kind of leaning to the under here, 6.5 as well too in this one. Normally I'm liking overs on big cards like this, but this is one where I like an under and possibly a better defensive effort by New Jersey, who allowed 5 goals to the Montreal Canadiens. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Most of the time when I find Eastern against Western, I tend to pick the Eastern because I think it's a stronger conference. You mentioned the New Jersey off of the embarrassing loss, and I like to play teams in that regard. The Kings started the month. They won 4 straight games until losing that 2-1 just a couple days ago to Minnesota, a team that had been struggling. But take a look at the teams that the Kings have played. They played Pittsburgh. We know Pittsburgh's been struggling. They played Buffalo. Buffalo's been very streaky this year. Played Anaheim, who's actually playing a little bit better right now. And then they played Arizona. But those are still 2 teams looking up at the playoffs, and I'll never see them this year. So they've had an easy schedule, and 3 of those 4 were at home. They do play the Islanders tomorrow, so this is the first of 2 back-to-back for the Kings. I like the Kings. I think they're a quality team. Problem is they're going up against this New Jersey team, who I think is a little bit better, and they play in the tougher conference. So I will be setting this one out, but I would expect New Jersey to play a good game here, and the Kings will have to step up because they are playing the first really good team that hasn't been struggling that they faced in the month of February.
All right. Brian, when you look at a game like that, and of course the goalies haven't been confirmed. There are only a few goalies have been confirmed. Fleury is now confirmed for Minnesota. So the goalies in that first game that we talked about, Minnesota and Columbus, are Korpisalo and Fleury. When you look at this and you know a team is playing back-to-back, where would you rather play your better goalie, in the first or the second? Because Copley's having a very good season for this team, but there's no way he's playing both these games. So we're obviously going to see Jonathan Quick. Do you start Quick tonight and Copley in the second game? Or do you look at it that you'd rather start him in the first and then go with Quick in the second of a back-to-back, which most teams will do, put their number 2 into the second game?
Well, the earlier you play your better goalie, the more rest he's got for the next time you play after that 2-game stretch. That's the advantage in that. I would rather match it up on who you're playing. If it's a team you can beat, I want the better goalie, because if you're on the road and you give a team 2 shots and they split them, that's not bad. If you're at home and you lose, you split, that's not so good. So if you're on the road, and I would always have my better goalie go against the team that I thought we can get the victory against. Problem is, these 2 games are going to be very similar. So the Islanders don't have the record that New Jersey does, but the Islanders are probably playing better than New Jersey at this point. So that's the way I look at it. But hey, I'm not a hockey coach, and I let them make the decision. 2 different ways to look at it, and whatever they do, I agree with, because they're the coaches. They know what they're doing.
They don't always know what they're doing, but I do get it. And you may not be a coach, but you gave me the perfect segue for this next game that we're going to discuss, which is the Calgary and Vegas Golden Knights game. And we'll have a look at the numbers on this one. Vegas, a short price favorite at minus 125. 135. Calgary is plus 115. The total is 6.5 in this one. And Calgary, obviously, on a second of a back-to-back. They played last night in Arizona, and they start Dan Vladar as opposed to Markstrom. And you would have thought, as Brian mentioned, you would start the goalie, your better goalie in the game that you think you can win. Now, I get it. Calgary's in a position right now where they need to win as many games as they possibly can, and thought that he could get by Arizona with Vladar, and they did, although it didn't look good early on. Calgary 3-3 in the second of a back-to-back scenario thus far this year. Their 3 wins came against Seattle twice and the Anaheim Ducks, who are a far cry from the Las Vegas Golden Knights at home. So, I'm looking at it. I still think, I still think Calgary is a live dog in this one. They need to win games. They're important games. The need to win doesn't mean that they're going to win. Completely different thing. And the Knights are still right up there. I think they're on top of the Western Conference or in second place right now. This is going to be a tough one. I'm looking at goals in this one, Brian, as opposed to not goals. Even though it's Markstrom in goal, we don't know who's in goal yet for the Vegas Golden Knights. We talked about this before the show. Aiden Hill was injured, lower body injury. We don't know if he's going to start or not. If he doesn't start, it's likely going to be Lauren Brassard. And they brought up Michael Hutchinson from the AHL Henderson team on Monday to fill in the backup role. So we could see either one of those ones. I'm leaning to goals in this one. I think even if Hill is in there, I think we're going to see some goals in this one in the second of a back-to-back. Can you talk me off this, Brian, and give me your thoughts on the goaltending issues in Vegas right now?
Well, right now, Money Puck put out something the other day, and he ranks how teams do expected goals. And right now, Aiden Hill's slightly better than Thompson, who was one of the 2 All-Stars for Vegas. I like Thompson. I think that may be the last time he makes the All-Star team. But there's really not much difference. Brisant was on the team last year, had some injury problems, got in the doghouse, but he performed just as well as the others did. So I'm not too concerned about any of those guys. And the other guy was somebody they brought up from the minors just to back up until Aiden Hill gets back. So I'm not concerned about the goalie situation, especially when you take a look at another thing that Money Puck put out was team blocks. Certain teams are willing to put their body on the line. Martinez, I love this guy for Vegas. He used to play for the Kings. He's one of these guys who will literally dive in front of the puck just to keep it from going to the net. And Vegas has got a few guys that'll do that. In fact, they have 2, I think, out of the top 5 in blocks, and Martinez has a big lead. That's one of the things that Vegas does because they know they don't have the greatest goaltending, and they have to be able to do that. I mentioned this, I don't know if it was last week when I was on the show, but Vegas has now got their top 6 defenders back. First time all season, they've had all these guys healthy, and since then, they've been terrific defensively. The one game they gave up some goals was against Tampa Bay, and I was at that game, and that was a game that if you looked at the pace of the game and you looked at the way the game was being played, the shots on goal, it should have been an under game. But I believe they had 4 goals out of the first 10 shots in that contest combined, and that killed my under in that game. But it was a situation where Vegas just played a bad period, and then they bounced back from that and won. I just talked about teams losing an embarrassing game. Chicago outplayed Vegas in that game. Chicago outplayed Vegas the first time they played them this year. And Chicago, I hate to say it, since you had Dallas yesterday, Chicago was very good yesterday again. So, just because they beat Chicago or lost to Chicago doesn't mean Chicago's a bad team. Chicago's on a good run. And you always have to keep that in mind when you're looking at these games. You got to look at what kind of streak they were on at the time. And Chicago's playing well. So even though Vegas did not play well in Chicago, I expect them to come out well tonight. And it's really, you said it was an important game for Calgary. It's an important game for Vegas because these are divisional games. They only have, 25 games left on the season. Vegas has to take advantage of that. The problem is, I think the line's a little bit too high, so it'll keep me off the game. But I'm going to the game. It'll be fun to watch. But I'm rooting for the Vegas, but I'm not going to get there on the game.
All right. And Brian, you look at it, and it's why I just don't want to take a side on it because I don't really want to lay the price, like you said, on Vegas. And I need a lot more plus money to want to take the Calgary Flames in this one. I just think there's going to be goals. Calgary Flames are, when you look at the money-burning teams this year, if you bet $100 risk on all their games, They are the third worst. Anaheim Ducks, you would be down 1487. You're down 1413 with San Jose, and then you're down 1350 with the Calgary Flames. This is a team that is within, I think, a point of a playoff spot, and they have been a money burner all year long, just because you're laying prices with them. So it is tough to take a team when they're bottom three money burner. Vegas has a plus number at plus 82, so a very slight profit with the Vegas Golden Knights, and you can find those on OddsShark if you're ever looking for profitability on teams or teams that are money burners. Guys, before we get into our best bet segment, obviously I want to mention again, Don Buster at Sports Memo has a 5% play up in the NHL. Brian has one in the NHL as well too over at Wager Talk. But I would be remiss if I didn't give you guys a parlay on today's show before our best bet segment, and it's the pizza parlay. So everyone loves pizza. We have a snowstorm up here, so I'm going to have to order a pizza because I'm not going to go out and get one. But here is your Puck Time Thursday moneyline pizza bet. We are taking the New York Rangers minus 165. We're taking the over in the Anaheim game. Ovechkin should return tonight. He was at the optional practice. He says he wants to get into the lineup. It'll be a good atmosphere in Washington, and they need to score some goals, and Anaheim's the team to do it against. Minus 110. And the Vancouver Canucks, I'm fading the St. Louis Blues. They're selling off pieces. Taking Vancouver is difficult at worst, but at least they are scoring goals. So Vancouver, the New York Rangers, and the over in the Anaheim $100 play will return 513.22 profit. So let's have some pizza tonight. Maybe not $100 pizza, but maybe a $10 slice if you're in for it, guys. With that said, we are going to get into our best bet segment of the show. Bri, let us know what you have up over at Wager Talk and your best bet on today's show.
Yeah, you mentioned the 5%. We've got two plays in hockey today, and I'm going to give you my second play here. Just for those inquiring, mine is a side play, and I believe his is a total play. It's a different game. I just want to let you know it's a different game. So if you buy both, then you won't end up with the same play. And I also have two plays in college basketball. So I've got a 4-pack up right now. I think that's a little bit better deal. You pay like $4 more and you get all of them. But 35-16 career on these 5% plays in the NHL. And I really like this one tonight, and I think it's a great spot. I'm going to go in my second game. Last time I was on, I took an underdog, and I believe it was Philadelphia, and everybody made fun of me, and Philadelphia did lose. And then I think they won the next game. So I just got bad timing with the Flyers. But when you're playing a big underdog, I don't mind splitting those kind of things. I'm going to lay a little chalk here with Boston at Seattle. Boston's been outstanding, as we know, no matter where they play. 19-8 on the road this season. They've just lost 5 times all year on their own ice. One of those losses was to the Seattle Kraken, a 3-0 shutout. It's the only time this year Boston has been shut out at home. They're going to remember this one. Seattle 6-5 run at home, so they've been winning, but they haven't been overly impressive. When you take a look at the goals plus or minus 5-on-5 play in the last month, Boston is plus 1.48 goal advantage. And I do something with a revenge situation, and Boston has fit into these things 4 times this year. They're already 3-0. They've been very good in revenge. Little stipulations to it, but this one fits into that. And 170 is a little high for a road team, but I like Boston here. Lay it against Seattle.
All right, let's get the money. I remember that, Brian. I remember that 3-0. That was the final game of an 8-game road trip in which Seattle won all 8 games, that phenomenal road trip. And then they've still been good since, but they're not an 8-0 since kind of team. And they're going to have to try and string some wins together if they want to make the playoffs, because the teams below them are starting to win games. And good luck with your 5% play as well, too. My show best bet, I'm going to go to one of the games that I mentioned in the pizza parlay, and that is the over in the Ducks game. the over 6. I think they've gone over the total in their last 6 games. The Ducks, they're allowing a lot of goals during that losing streak. Ovi's back in the lineup. The emotion is going to be on the ice from this team that hasn't been scoring goals during this losing streak. But this is a get well spot, I think, for the Washington Capitals to score some goals, get back in that win column, and we can get over that total of 6 here. The Washington team totals over is 3.5 minus 150. That's not a bad bet as well, too. I think they get 4, at least 4 tonight. So over 6 is my show best bet. 3 plays up in Europa League soccer today, 2-0 Champions League yesterday, and 3 plays up in the NHL. We're going to look to continue a very good run since November 1st. Guys, we appreciate guys always tuning in, the comments. Let's have a look at the recap on the show. Brian's got Boston minus 172. I've got the over 6 in the Washington-Anaheim game. Fantastic chat, guys. We appreciate it. Hit that like button. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be Andy Lang and Brian on the show with me, and we'll have the 6 in 60 segment. Guys, as always, have a great night tonight, and good luck with your wagers.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at Wager Talk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at Wager Talk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to wagertalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.